thank you all again for your support of Creating Conversations and Meg Cabot. As mentioned, in conjunction with Bookstore Romance Day last Saturday, the 15th, our August selection is No Judgments, which was the Bookstore Romance Day Book Club Summer Selection. Bookstore Romance Day is a day designed to give independent bookstores an opportunity to celebrate romance fiction, and it was created in 2019 by independent bookseller Billy Blowbaum. I thought that the review from the Tampa Bay Times was very apropos. It said, you know the woman who wrote the Princess Diaries series and a dozen other series adding up to more than 80 novels for middle grade, young adult, and adult readers, which is a heck of a body of work, will deliver a happy ending, along with engaging characters, lively dialogue, and plenty of plot twists. And I thought that very much was in keeping sort of with my experience of the book. So I'm happy to open the floor to general thoughts on the book, or if people are hesitant, I will ask pointed questions and possibly even call on participants. Oh, and Tama has ducked out. Good move. So I guess a good opening question is, how many of you are familiar with Meg as an adult romance writer, and how many of you came to her through her other works, reading the Princess Diaries? Or Heidi, share with us.
Hi, do you see me?
Yeah.
And do you hear my voice too?
Yes.
Oh, hi. May I ask what's your name before I start talking?
Certainly. My name's Mary Elizabeth.
Oh, Mary Elizabeth, I saw your email earlier. So thank you so much for keeping me posted, and thank you for sending me emails. And of course, thank you for hosting this amazing event. I'm excited. So honored to be here. So yeah, thank you for giving me a chance to speak too. So I have read Meg Cabot's books ever since I was 11-year-old. Ever since I was in 6th grade. So now I'm 23. So it has been quite a journey for me. And I started off with reading the Princess Diaries. And as you can see in my apartment, the whole stack is over there. If you see it, yeah, I've lived and I've grown up with them since 6th grade. And so now I'm in college and they are still there. So yeah, so I would say like I have been very grateful for Meg for writing such like inspiring work, and also for making it so real and so like just so like realistic and like practical that I can just relate to it. And every time I read it, like depending on the volume, doesn't matter like which volume or what stage it was in, I just feel such a connection that resonates so much with me. And like every time I read, I just feel so excited, and I at the same time like so much humor, because like it's just so many like relevance and resonation between me and the character of Princess Mia. Yeah, and honestly, even though now I'm in college and I'm about to graduate from college, but I still feel that like I guess like resemblance in characters between the two of us. And the one thing that I would say in terms of the content of the Princess Diaries, the one slight difference that I feel between her and I would just be the fact that Mia was having boyfriends and I do not. That's the one difference, that she was really active in like romance and dating, and I'm not. That's the one slight difference between us, but otherwise I have felt so much like resonation and connection and relevance between the two of us, like in terms of like what we study in school, how we go through the process of like going from high school to college, and like how we handle and deal with like our social relationships in terms of like best friends and classmates and friends and teachers and parents and all that. So yeah, and even with like her like princess lessons, I guess like for me, I don't have any princess training in my life, but I guess just those like I guess emotional and personal training to be a better person, a better girl, I guess, from what I learned throughout my life. So that is such like I guess like a biggest light in my life. And yeah, I just feel so warm in my heart every single time I read it. And yeah, and I'm just gonna read it again when I have time. Honestly, yeah, school starts for me so soon, but hopefully when I'm done with school, I have more time. I'll read it again, to be honest. So yeah, so honestly, I love Meg and I adore her. I admire her, and I also feel like a connection between like Meg and I as an author, because like my major in college is English. I'm aiming to get my Bachelor of Arts in English, and I'm hoping to be a writer too. So I can see like the resemblance that I mean the connection that we have in terms of like submitting our works for publish out there. Like I've always been feeling so inspired by the idea that Meg has said that in terms of getting rejected, you know, like Meg used to share one time that I remember that when she first started out, she got rejected as well. So just don't take it too hard and get discouraged, and just keep going. And that's exactly what I'm going through right now. Yeah, so I
Really amazing. I'm so
yeah,
delighted that
so
you've been able to have her be such a part of your experience growing up.
yeah,
Are there
so
other people who had the opportunity to grow up with Meg as opposed to like old people like me who, you know, were already adults when Meg's books started appearing in the stores? I saw Larissa and Gabrielle nodding. Did one of you want to share?
honestly, Mary, so far like
I
I'm
was going
sorry.
to have Larissa or Gabrielle share. Sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah, thank you.
Hi, good evening, ladies, by the way. Sorry, I'm cooking dinner while my husband's working late. I actually started reading Meg. The first book I read was called All American Girl. I don't know if anybody else has read it. I was about 13 years old. My uncle bought it for me at a Barnes and Noble because he said, okay, since you're sleeping over this weekend and spending time with your aunt and I, they really fostered a love of reading for me. And that was the very first book I ever read. I still have it, and Meg actually signed it at a book fair a few months ago. It feels, with everything going on, it feels like it's an eon ago. But I grew up reading a lot of her teen books. It got me through middle school, and I started reading her more adult books, I would say around like late high school, and it's kind of just been going ever since. And I just really enjoy it because the awkwardness you feel about of whatever situation you have presented before you, especially when you're a teenage girl, it's you connect with it a lot, you know. And it's funny because, you know, a lot of her books for teens, it's in these places that are more suburban or they're more rural. I grew up as a city girl in New Jersey, so I thought it was crazy, you know. I still know what it feels like to have a crush on somebody. I know what it's like to have a weird situation with a friend. So it's like Heidi was saying, she's just very relatable. And, you know, now that I guess I'm considered an adult now, um, you know, it's funny how what you like about a certain author that you've kind of grown up with, how your likes of their style of writing, you start noticing different things. So it's been interesting. I read, because I worked in a bookstore part-time before all this craziness happened in the world. I actually read No Judgments as an advanced reader copy when it came in, and I absolutely loved it. And now that No Offense came out about a week ago, I read that fairly quickly. And, you know, different things are sticking out. It's not necessarily, oh, it's the romance, but it's how it develops. So it's just been fun getting a chance to follow along more series and fall in love with more characters that she comes up with.
Fantastic. Thank you. Larissa.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Yeah, I can relate to what both of them said. The first book by Meg that I read was The Princess Diaries when I was 11, and she had like followed me throughout my teenage years, and it's like going strong at 25. I haven't read No Offense yet because it hasn't come out in Brazil, and even though I bought it on pre-sale, it takes like a long time to arrive. So I'm like waiting anxiously for it to arrive. But I do have no judgment, and I loved it. So I loved like the good vibe of it, and the fact that there's some like comfort in it, despite the natural disaster and everything that happens. Yeah, so I really loved it.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting observation, which is I think it takes a definite level of authority, of skill on the author's part to be able to do something like deal with a hurricane and the devastation and the, you know, kind of scary and dire consequences associated with it, and also have the rom-com elements and the, you know, enjoyment of the guinea pigs being named for Star Wars characters and all that. So I think that's probably one of my favorite things about Meg's writing. Were there other things, particularly about No Judgments, that people particularly liked or that stood out to y'all? Yes, Joy.
Hi. I hope everyone read it because I don't want to spoil anything, but what I really enjoyed, which is so unlike many of the other like romance novels, is that there was no huge fight that like made them break up for like 2 chapters and then they had to get back together. I enjoyed a more realistic, I imagine a more realistic arc of romance where, they're just, they find each other, they fall in love, and then that's kind of it. They have minor hiccups, but nothing that's gonna like break them apart. Some silly misunderstanding. So I enjoyed that from a narrative point of view.
And did people enjoy the moment in which Bree gets to shoot a gun at a bottle of tequila? Because I think many of us kind of wish that maybe we had been able to have a similar moment.
Yeah, she gets like justification or not justification, not revenge, but she's able to conquer her fears and tell him what's up, and then no, you can't do that, and if you ever do it again, I'm the one coming after you. And I like how she kind of kept Drew outside for that. She's like, listen, I'm doing this.
Right. I felt like it was a little extreme, but I also felt like there was that sort of like moment of, catharsis that readers could have, right? Because we know that these are not real people. And so to be able to have that moment of a woman who's been wronged being able to take such dramatic and forceful action.
Especially after she's been victim shamed.
Right. Yeah.
By her own mom.
Yeah. Who was a whole hot mess and yet also had redemptive moments.
Right.
I loved the part where you're thinking that her mom is just going to be this, intrusive force for so long, and then her mom actually goes, I have the ability to use my social media platform and my celebrity to do outreach, and I love the discovery of sort of the core of what No Judgments was. I think it was maybe around chapter 17 or so when Bree tells her mom, I need you to let people know that we will go and we will find the guinea pigs, right, and the rabbits and the this and the that, and I need you to do it without judgment so that people feel safe saying, yes, my cat has been left behind and is trapped or whatever.
Absolutely.
Kim.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I live in inland from Destin, Florida, about 45 minutes. So we are very well familiar with hurricanes. As a matter of fact, we're watching the Gulf right now. So this is fabulous timing for a discussion about No Judgments. And it is a quandary that you find yourself in, particularly for those of us who have more than one pet. Do we leave? Do we stay? And I know that I've made the choice many, many, many times I'm going to stay put because I'm not leaving my pets. Other people don't have that same opportunity, especially like if they live in a mobile home, they've got to get out. But more and more places now are accepting pets, which I think is absolutely wonderful. But she captured, Meg Cabot is just one of my favorites. And I think I might have the distinction of being, other than my mother, one of her older fans, one of her older readers. And I read everything. I love her young adult. I love Allie Finkel. She's just an escape for me, especially right now.
Fabulous. Yeah. It's, Creating Conversations is in Southern California. And as you may or may not be aware, because there's a lot going on in the world too, I understand if you aren't, but a lot of California is on fire. It's our version of, hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, whatever. And one of the, things that we're facing right now is not just, do you leave an area and do you take your pets with you if it's under threat from some sort of natural force, but then also sort of the added double whammy of how do you find shelter during a pandemic?
Right.
I love the way that Meg had the little chapter headings that either were updates on the force of the storm or things that you should do. And there was one chapter in particular where she was like, sanitary wipes and paper towels and this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, you cannot go to the store and stock up on those now. That's not a
You're
thing,
right.
If we were told you need to lay in these provisions for an emergency storm, they're one per customer in the stores right now. And so that was a little weird, but you also, have to read it as accurate for its time, I think. And it also gave just a lot of joy in just being able to see Bree get to her happy ending, and just the small things. Some of the fellow inhabitants of Little Bridge, just little wacky things like. At one point, I think she's being told the family history, and she's like, that is the weirdest, family lineage I have ever heard. So a lot of nice.
Small town.
Yep. And I also like the fact that once she and Drew were couple and had sort of decided that they were going to be a couple, she was like, and everybody's going to be in our business, and we're just going to have to accept it because this is what it is. All right, did anybody else have? Yes, Thomas. Whoops.
I loved the recipe. I know that's very strange, but I was really hungry for that dip. I was like, oh my God, they're eating that. It sounds so amazing. And then when the recipe came, I'm like, I have to make that. I haven't done it yet, but I'm not waiting for Hurricane. I'm going to make it.
So I made the cheater version, in which I just did a soup spoon's worth of each ingredient because it is incredibly rich, but it is incredibly tasty. But if I had made a full recipe, not in dire circumstances, I would have far more of my COVID-19 to blame. So,
can there be any substitutions? I hate mayonnaise.
I don't know. We'll have to ask her when she comes in. Or Gabrielle, did you have a suggestion?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, because I really enjoy cooking, and Meg having recipes at the end of her book reminded me of another book I absolutely love. It's called A Coincidence of Coconut Cake by Amy Reichert. It's a phenomenal beach read. I had a book hangover for the rest of my vacation when I read it a few years ago, and that came with a recipe for coconut cake. So getting to see something like that in a book that by an author I adore, loved it. And Joy, if you don't like mayonnaise, I heard a good substitute is sour cream if you don't like it, or Greek yogurt.
I'm gonna say maybe Greek yogurt. The coincidence of coconut cake, is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I always go back to it if I'm not reading a Meg book, honestly.
I'm going to have to investigate because coconut cake is actually one of my all-time favorite foods at Disneyland, which I also miss immensely. But that sounds fabulous. Any of our other attendees want to weigh in on No Judgments or Princess Diaries or any other thoughts before Meg joins us? She should be actively here in just a few moments. Oh yeah, did anybody read Bridal Boot Camp, the Little Bridge novella? If not, it's an ebook, and Lauren has helpfully put the link in the chat for y'all. Yes. Please speak, Matthew.
Oh, so I first encountered Meg Cabot after watching the movie of Princess Diaries. Oh, and Meg, do you hear us? Do you hear me? And I know that that my school had a copy of it, and I got one of my own, and that was my first encounter. And I went into Princess Diaries due to Julie Andrews, and it made me interested and wanted me to compare the book against the movie. And it was kind of like it, even if I only have the eighth personally, but it's still kind of nice despite me not having it all.
For Bookstore Romance Day, Matthew, I don't know if you were able to participate. The day was Saturday, but on Sunday they did do one short thing, which was an online viewing of the Princess Diaries, and Meg was there chatting about some of the differences between the book and the movie. Were you able to see that?
No.
Oh,
catch up.
You might watch for it on the Bookstore Romance Day YouTube channel or on the Facebook page. If at the very least, I think the comments should still be there. If not the full thing. There might be some intellectual property rights with sharing the whole thing continuously. And welcome to our guest of the hour. Welcome, Meg.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks.
So Matthew, I know that you had sent me a question in advance, but would you like to just ask Meg directly?
Aside from that special edition of the Princess Diaries, which I've read part of, is it possible you could be writing something about romance in the time of COVID-19?
I am writing, you mean besides the Corona Princess Diaries, which is on my blog right now? Because I'm writing the Corona Princess Diaries about Princess Mia and her family in Genovia during COVID, which you can find for free on megcabot.com. There's been multiple installments. And I may write something else that's not about Princess Mia, you know, maybe a romance set during the time of Corona. I don't know. But right now, the only thing I'm writing that's COVID related is about the Princess Diaries set during COVID in Genovia. And yeah, you can read it for free on my blog. Does that answer your question?
And Gabrielle, same thing. You had sent your question in advance, but do you want to just ask Meg?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Meg.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thank you. one of my questions for you, especially because I've been a long time reader since I was about 13, we were talking about it earlier.
Aw.
What was it exactly? So one of the things I've noticed now that I've grown up, kind of, I guess, is the way romance kind of evolves between, you know, things like All American Girl, Princess Diaries, and all the teen books to the adult books where the chemistry is a little more apparent. It's not quite as slow building. So for you, what do you think is the best thing? What's the best way to show your protagonists are kind of bonding in, you know, romantically? And what do you think is the best way to showcase that or do it?
I like to do it through dialogue and show that the characters have some things that are in common besides, of course, physical attraction, but that maybe they share common interests and maybe the same beliefs. For instance, I think we're talking about No Judgments tonight. So in No Judgments, it's pretty clear from the beginning that both Bree and Drew love animals. He's got a bunch of dogs and she has this beloved cat that she spent all this money on medical bills for the cat and that she rescued. And that's kind of how they bond. And so in all of my books, I like to show that these characters, you know, they share a lot of things that they like in common. And those are things they can talk about. And through that, then they become kind of connected. I first knew that my husband was kind of the one for me, even though we had met years before, but we kind of reconnected when he revealed to me one day that he loved Degrassi Junior High, the television show. If any of you have seen that show, I had never met a guy before who watched that show, and I was like, whoa, wait, you do? Okay, because I love that show too. So we kind of bonded over TV shows like that, and we have other things in common too. But I think that that's a good way to show that your characters.
I was gonna say that makes perfect sense because I was thinking, you know, me and my husband, you know, it's only 3 weeks into it, but I'm just thinking back over the last.
Wait, you're a newlywed?
Yes, that's
congratulations! That's so great.
Thank you.
So there, we have an example of love in the time of COVID right here.
That's actually what I named our wedding album on Facebook.
That's great.
Funny enough.
That's such a hopeful story.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, thinking about that, I was like, one of the things that bonded us was the fact I'm the weird one of my cousins who can quote tons of movies. He's the only one that out of his family who can do that. So that actually makes perfect sense.
See?
Also, I wanted to thank you for about No Judgments. You had someone on the autism spectrum. My younger brother's actually on the spectrum. He's on the more severe end, but it was nice to have that little representation. So thank you.
I think it's important to show people from all different, you know, neurotypicals and the non-neurotypicals. So I think that's important because that's what real life is like.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right, I have a quick passing question because I thought about this earlier and then I'll lose it again if I don't ask now. Did you deliberately make all the dogs Bob, knowing the variations you were going to be able to make, or did you have to go, okay, now I have 4 dogs named Bob, how do I distinguish them?
I actually stole that from a friend of mine who does have 3 dogs named Bob. And she did that on purpose for the exact reason that Drew does it in the book, that he believes and she believes that all dogs are pack animals and you just call them the same name because, especially if, you know, you're the owner, because they're all going to be doing something bad. So if you have to tell them and yell at them, they're all going to be doing something bad. And so they're basically completely based on her dogs. And I think she just got a 4th dog. So it kind of is just like in the book where he ends up getting a 4th dog. Actually, the incident in the book where Drew stops the guy from kicking his dog, that is also a real life scene that happened when we first moved to Key West. We witnessed that happen in a restaurant. It was an outdoor bar. A guy was doing that to his dog, and we saw a guy just stand up and punch that guy's lights out, and he took the dog, and the police came and arrested the guy not the guy who hit him, but the guy who kicked the dog. It was actually an amazing Florida scene. We loved it. We were like, oh, we made the right choice moving here. So I just put it right in the book.
Yay. It's good when it's good Florida crazy, not just
Exactly.
Florida crazy. And Heidi has a question.
Oh my goodness!
Hi, Heidi.
Do you see me now?
Oh my God!
I'm
I saw
starstruck
you
because-
typed a question, but I didn't know how to type back because you always help me with that kind of thing. So I was like, how can I write back to her?
Okay, that's okay. I was actually I have a few questions. Like honestly, I've lived with the Princess Diaries, like the site over there that you see in my account.
Oh
They have been there. They have been with me since 6th grade. I just shared earlier, so that's why I'm starstruck that I'm seeing you. Oh my
no!
goodness.
Stop.
I'm so sorry. Oh my god.
That's too funny.
So just wanna share that I'm 23 now. They are still there. So yeah, so just so you know how much I love you and how much I love your book. I've been looking up to you for years. Now I get to see you.
Stop.
That is such a dream. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I just thought like I was gonna ask like when you were writing the Princess Diaries, how did you get your ideas in terms of like writing in different like screen and stages and like idea for dialogues, and how did you come up with like the context and the names of the characters and the intentions and stuff like that? Because I'm aspiring to be a writer too.
Oh, good for you.
I'm in college right now at Azusa Pacific University, and I'm getting my BA in English. So yeah, so I've been taking your lesson really to heart in terms of like getting rejected. You've said that a few times. Yeah,
Yes.
and so about like not to get discouraged when getting rejected and just keep trying to do it.
Yeah.
What I'm doing. Still getting rejected sadly, but yeah, so that's why I'm asking for your perspective on like how did you get your ideas and inspiration, and how did you come up with like what to do for context and the characters and dialogues and all that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, great that you're not letting rejection get to you, because I got rejected many times, as I've said, and you just have to keep trying. And as far as how to get your inspiration, I'm just inspired by things that happen to me, and I keep notes all the time. I kept my own diary, and I've always written down things that happen to me, and that's what I draw inspiration from. So the idea about how Princess Mia's mom is going out with her teacher, that really happened to me. So things that would happen to me that I felt strongly about, I would then put into my writing. And just the funny lists that the girls make about movies and the books that they like, those are all things that are true. Yeah, like with my friends. So I just put really a lot of true things into the book. Obviously, I'm not really a princess. That is not true, obviously.
That's all.
No, I know. But I always wished that would happen to me. So that is kind of a true thing that I would dream about. So, I mean, a lot of this stuff is just things I wish would happen, or sometimes, the character of Lana that Princess Mia hates, she really was a girl that was mean to me. So I would write about her. And so much of it is just based on kind of true things, but I would change the details because you don't obviously want to write about your real friends, because they'll read it and they'll get mad at you. So don't do that. Yeah. But change things. But, just try to draw inspiration from things that are around you, but make them more exciting, because real life is very boring.
Yeah, but
probably know.
Like I guess that's the core of my question. Like, how do you make it exciting? And when you write and after you write, like, how can you tell if your content is good, is exciting, is ready to submit? Like,
you might want to have like a couple friends that you have who read books, who enjoy reading those kind of books. Have them read it and see what they think.
Do you have like your own editor to do it?
No, what I do is I have my friends who I know love to read those kind of books, read it and tell me what they think, if they think it's too crazy or if they like it. And then once they, have found all the mistakes and told me what they think, then I tried to find an agent. And so you can try to find an agent going on the internet. Just look up literary agents who are looking for the kind of book that you're writing, and the agent will find an editor for you. So I lost you there.
So do you have to pay for those, or
no? Well, yeah, you do end up, if your agent sells your book, the agent gets 15% of whatever you make.
Got it.
So yeah, you do pay them, but not unless they sell your work. So never pay anyone. Don't pay anyone. Sometimes people will try to trick you.
Oh,
And
it's a scam. Yeah.
yeah, it's a scam. So never pay anyone. But if they sell your work, yes, then they will take 15% of your money forever and ever.
Good idea. Good idea.
Okay.
For the sake of time, can I send you emails? Can I email you through?
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can.
Yes,
You can. Actually, it's better if you tweet me. You can DM me on my Twitter feed.
How about
You can email me at meg@megcabot.com, but it will take longer. I don't look at my emails.
Can I
that way.
DM you on Instagram too?
Sure. Yeah, I'm not as good as at Instagram, but Twitter I'm very much better at.
So I'll email you then.
Yeah, just DM me on Twitter.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Good luck.
I love you.
It's nice to see you.
You too. I'll show you my face. Love you. Love you. Love you.
What else have we got?
I have to say, Meg, you may not actually be a princess, but you definitely rock a tiara.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I loved your bookstore romance day attire. The best I could do was sort of a mermaidish boa for tonight.
I see that. It looks beautiful.
Sort of fancy seaweed, I guess. One thing I wanted to do was to share with you that one of the great things about this format is not only are you checking in with us from Florida, but we actually have readers from all over. I'm going to guess that Larissa is the farthest away, but I just thought we'd kind of have everybody go through and say where they're checking in from quickly, just because I think it's a really good demonstration of how global your spread is.
Okay. Hi, Larissa. I've seen you at multiple events like this from Brazil.
Yeah, this was like a positive aspect of this whole COVID thing. It was like one of the only good things is that I was able to take part in things. It's great to see you, Meg.
Oh, it's good to see you too. How are things going? Good?
Well,
okay.
I mean, Brazil is kind of giving the U.S. a run for your money, if you know what I mean.
No, I've seen the news. I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay.
It's
Sorry too, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Well, in Florida, we are not doing so well either. So, but I'm glad to see.
At least we have books.
At least we have books and romance and writing, and so it's good. But thank you for stopping by. It's great to see you. You look great. Yay! I wish we could be together in real life.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, you said you're sort of from Meg's current neck of the woods?
I am from a little town right on the Florida-Alabama line. So we are watching the Gulf right now. This is great timing to be talking about no judgment. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because you rode out that hurricane, and I was very worried about you, Meg. I really was.
Thank you. Yeah, we should have evacuated. That was not good.
That was going to be my next question. Would you do it again? And also, was your mother, did you model Justine Beckham after your mother?
No, my mom was so mad at me about that too. She was like, what? You always make the mom look so bad, except she likes the mom in the Princess Diaries. No, that mom is totally made up. She is modeled a little bit maybe after Judge Janine,
Justine.
a little bit. Yeah. But no, I would not stay through another hurricane like that, like Hurricane Irma. That was terrible. The problem was we just didn't have it together. And I think that you're on the Gulf, right?
Very close.
Yeah.
Kind of about 45 minutes from Destin.
Yeah. So you probably remember there was that whole gas shortage that happened because there was that hurricane, right? Hurricane Harvey, I think it was. And so we didn't have gas in our town. So we're just like, we'll be fine. It won't be so bad. It was horrible. So I got a book out of it. So
yes, you did.
Yeah, we're a little worried about these two that are coming.
Oh, so are we.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Stay safe.
Yeah. Oh well. Cheers. Good luck.
You too.
Thanks. But read No Judgments. There's lots of tips.
That's right. There are.
We were discussing the tips and the helpful list of supplies that you actually can't buy now because pandemic.
No, I know. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Joy, you had a question.
Hi, Meg. I was just going to say it was perfect timing because I was reading No Judgments during, I'm on Long Island, so we had Isiasis, I can't remember that guy's name. And it was just perfect timing. I was reading it during what was not a hurricane any longer.
Oh, right. Yeah. You guys just had that one.
Yeah, and we were, I mean,
crazy.
luckily my house we were okay with, but I had colleagues and friends of mine who were out of power for over a week. And it was not even a tropical storm at that point. We're just like, happening.
That was bad.
But it was really cool to read it, like curled up, you know, with a cup of tea in like, and there's like a storm outside. It was perfect.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad.
But I had a question for you. I'm an English teacher, but kind of like Heidi, I also really enjoy writing myself. How do you get inside like a guy's head?
Well, it's very hard. As we know, guys are a mystery wrapped in an enigma. And I had a very difficult time with that for my first few years when I was trying to get published. And I took a creative writing course through like a secondary education college thing. And I had a really great teacher named Joyce Hackett, and she said, "Your guys are terrible. They think like women. What you need to do is go to some bars, which is hard to do now because they're all closed. But if you can, just sit and listen to men talk, and just don't say anything. It's hard for me to not talk, and just listen to men speak, and don't say anything, and just do that for a while, and then practice your dialogue and your inner dialogue, and really concentrate on that." And I did, and as soon as I started doing that, I started writing much better men. So really, it's like, just stop talking so much. I can tell that you're a little bit of a talker too. I don't know how I can tell that. And that's what you do. Just really try to listen more than you speak, and eventually
that's a good
practice. Tip. Yeah, that's what she said, and it worked. It ended up working. So. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Because I really enjoyed this one.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Quick extra question. Something to do with this. Are you going to be writing any more of the size 12 isn't fat, Heather?
I would love to. I've been obsessed with watching all this stuff happening on the college campuses, and my old friends at NYU, you know, with the opening right now with COVID, and they're just having the dandiest time. So I think that would be really fun. But we'll see what happens. Thank you, though.
Oh, thank you.
So, generally speaking, we know you have the COVID Princess Diaries, but other than that, as you work on your next books, what world are you working in? Are you trying to guess at a post-pandemic one? Are you just writing as though the pandemic didn't happen, knowing that there will be this sort of alternate reality in books for a while?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think every writer I know is going through this, and we're trying to figure out, what do we do? Because, you know, I'm writing a book right now that I was contracted for way obviously before COVID, and it's actually about a book festival. All these authors gathered in Little Bridge Island, and they're all coming for a book festival. And I'm like, is there going to be a book festival ever again? We don't know. So, and then, you know, they're shaking hands and they're kissing each other, and so I'm thinking either it took place before or it is taking place in the future, or, you know, so I guess that's what we're thinking. Yeah, but every single author I know also has their pandemic book that they're working on secretly as well, so you will see what happens, because I don't know if I really want to read a ton of pandemic books. Right. And I don't know if readers do either, but I think editors are going to get slammed with a bunch of them anyway. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm definitely right now, I'm working on non-pandemic books, because that's what I was contracted for before this ever happened. So we'll see.
Well, and I don't think anybody's going to pick up a book in 2021 and go, you know, oh my God, people are touching in public and in a bar. What was she thinking? They're going to think, we know it takes 18 months to 2 years to get this out. And
yeah, because we're all reading books that are coming out now that don't have, you know, that clearly were written pre-pandemic, and I'm fine with it. It is a little jarring, though, I think, when we're watching movies and we see the big crowd scenes. We're like, oh my God, what are they doing? I would never go there. But books,
or in real life.
Or in real, I know. Well, yes, exactly. Yes, in real life as well.
Yeah, we in Southern California feel some of your "what the heck are y'all doing at the beach" pain.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. We still have these sunset boat tours where people can get on these boats and go out and watch the sunset, and they're crowding them in there. They're doing the limbo. We're like, oh my God, none of the locals are doing that. It's just the tourists.
Mm.
Like, okay, bye, stay out there. Don't come back.
Crazy.
I didn't mean to say that.
All right. Some of our other quieter people. Did anybody else have a question for Meg or a comment? I don't want to exclude any of you, and please don't be shy. As you can see, Meg is very approachable.
Okay, yeah, I'm totally here to answer your questions and whatever else you need.
Actually, I do have a question. When you were first offered the chance to turn Princess Diaries into a movie, was that something, because a lot of authors have that problem, like, okay, what are you going to do to my characters and my creations? Did you have that kind of worry at all, or were you more open to whatever changes they might have made?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I, at that time, was still working at my day job at NYU. I had not been, the Princess Diaries had not been published at that point. We were still trying to find a publisher, and it actually got optioned by Whitney Houston. She was like the first person to give it any positive feedback. And so I was like, yes, finally, somebody likes this. So no, I had no, I was like, yes, take it, do whatever. Just, oh my gosh, if you could help me find a publisher, Whitney, I don't know if you know anything about that, that would be great. And she was like, I'm on it. And she and the co-producer, Deborah Martin Chase, instantly got it to Disney. And even Disney, I don't think they had a publishing branch at that time. They may have been working with one. Even they turned it down. They're like, nope, we don't want to publish it, but we'll make it into a movie. So I really thought that was the only way that story was going to get out there. So I was like, fine, do whatever you want, take it. I'm so happy. They were going to give me money. So I worked really hard on. So I was like, this is great. And then they started doing the casting. They hadn't paid me at that point, and I, would get these phone calls at work. They were like, yeah, we're gonna cast, they said Mandy Moore, who was very famous at that time for being a singer. And I was like, oh, she's gonna be Mia, that's so great. And they're like, no, she's gonna play Lana. And then I said, okay, well, that makes no sense, because she should clearly be Mia, but I'd never heard of Anne Hathaway, no one had. And then they called a little while later, and they said, we have this great actress who's going to play the grandmother, but she hasn't made a movie in so long, we want to give her a ton of lines, and to do that we're going to have to kill the father in your book, because we want to take all his lines and give them to this actress. And so that was a little nervous about that, because I intended for these books to go on for a really long time and to have the father be a continuing character, but no one was publishing it anyway. So I was like, well, who's the actress? And they said, well, it's Julie Andrews. And I said, oh my God, kill the dad, who cares? And then finally, around that time, I think it was Avon HarperCollins, who's still my publisher today, they agreed to publish it. And then the movie got made, and then it was great. So no, in answer to your question, I was like, yeah, do whatever. But my advice to anyone who does get their book picked up to be made into a movie, they're going to change it. So you can't be all precious about it. Either don't sell it to the film people, or just sell it knowing that it's going to be changed, because that's what they do. They have to, because it's, what is it, like a 300-page book, and they have to make it into like an hour-and-a-half movie. So it's going to be...
And they can't do any internal dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. And they changed so much. And a lot of it was for good reasons. Like Gary Marshall, who's so sweet, he lived in San Francisco, and his little grandkids lived in San Francisco, so he wanted to be near them. But the book is set in New York. But he's like, is it okay? I just want to be near my kids. I'm like, oh my God, yes, fine. Oh, geez. Of course. So sweet. So it was just all turned out great, ultimately.
Excellent. Matthew, your question.
I have two. The first one is, I have two questions. The first one is, are you planning to write anything based on African American experiences due to the Black Lives Matter, the movement? And I've been listening to this podcast called Book Club for Kids, and I'm a podcast addict now. the quarantine got me into. But it's for kids and families. But anyway, they've been featuring lots of African American experiences, and I was wondering, would you write any? So that's one of two questions.
Okay, well, let me answer your first question first. So there is a spin-off series of the Princess Diaries about Princess Mia's little sister, Princess Olivia. I don't know if you've read that, but that is about her African-American little sister. Her dad is dead in the movies, but he's alive in the books. And in the books, he has another little daughter. And her name is Princess Olivia. She's African-American. I based those books on the fact that I have an African-American little brother who's adopted. And he's not a prince of Genovia, sadly. He wishes he was, just like I wish I was a princess of Genovia. And the same producer, Deborah Martin Chase, who made the Princess Diaries first movie with Whitney Houston, is taking that series to Disney streaming. So hopefully we're going to be seeing a movie about Princess Olivia as soon as COVID is over. However, because no one will wear their mask, who knows when we will get to see that, but that's kind of the plan. As far as writing about Black Lives Matter, I mean, I like to, Princess Olivia is biracial, so I feel like, okay, she's part white and she's part black. I can kind of get a grip on the part white one, but I am not black, so I feel like if it should really be an own voices thing at this point, and I could talk to my brother about that, but I feel like I definitely support Black Lives Matter 100%, but I feel like my brother wants to write about that, so he's gonna write about that. So I'm like, go, if you have any trouble like getting a publisher or whatever, I am 100% behind you, but I think that's something that he's gonna do. What's your second question?
And I think, sorry, I was just
go ahead.
Quickly. I think sometimes allyship is getting out of the way and letting people who have own voices, contributions, make those contributions.
Right. Yes. Supporting them and doing what we can kind of behind the scenes. So, is there a second part of the question? I forgot.
So I was totally ecstatic because I came to Princess Diaries just for Julie Andrews, and I was very ecstatic when she announced that she was going to drop a new podcast called Julie's Library, and every week I look forward to hearing from Julie. If you've ever met Julie Andrews herself, how did it feel for you? Because I heard that from a lot of people it felt great to be with Julie. What about you, Meg?
Yes,
what about you?
Well, I've met her many times, and she's amazing. She's everything that you would hope. She's just like Mary Poppins. She's just like Maria Von Trapp, only she swears a lot. She uses a lot of bad words, which is very funny to see Julie Andrews saying bad words. Because she's a writer, I often see her at book events, like BookCon in New York. We've done events together. And obviously I met her at the movie set when she was doing the Princess Diaries. She is just hilarious and she's very sweet. I have not heard her bookcast or her podcast. I didn't know she was doing that. So I will definitely look out for that. But she's just great. And hopefully, I mean, I'm really hoping she's going to be in the Princess Olivia streaming show and the Princess Diaries 3. We'll see. You know, we've just got to keep safe so that we can protect her because she is an icon. We do not want her to get sick. So everybody wear your mask.
That is a fabulous point. Jenny, your question, please.
Hi there. First, I'd like to say thank you very much to Meg because I have just enjoyed your books for years. So thank you so much for being so entertaining and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
My question for you is the scene in No Judgment where your heroine confronts her nemesis.
Okay.
And I had read some people that they were very, well, not very, there had been some talk about how it was so, I don't want to say violent, but, you know, aggressive and confrontational. And I don't ever remember reading anything in your previous books about a female character who did that. And can I just say, I loved it. And
Yeah.
so I was just wondering where that came from.
Well, I mean, I have I've written about 100 books that have been published, and there actually are many heroines of mine that have had scenes like that. The Mediator series, there's a heroine who fights ghosts. There's in the Size 12 is Not Fat series, which is a series about a woman who solves crimes. She frequently confronts murderers. So I was kind of, I heard the same thing that you did. I had witnessed several people who were surprised by that. And I was like, I don't know where that's coming from because it's happened a lot in my books. But thank you. It came from just storytelling, and I just thought it fit into this, who this character was and why she had left and why she had ended up on Little Bridge Island. And I didn't think anything about it when I put it in the book, and neither did my editor. And then we were both like, what is happening? Why are people surprised by this? Just because I had so many scenes like that in previous books that I had written, but apparently I think that maybe the people who were reading this book, a lot of them started out reading maybe my children's literature, and now they're reading, they've grown up, and so now they're reading my adult books, and maybe this was like the first adult book they had read, and so they were maybe taken aback. I don't know where it came from, that they were shocked. But
yeah, I do. I apparently do need to dig into your backlist now.
It's okay. I think also maybe that, I've been writing for 20 years, and since, whatever the year 1998 or whatever it was when wow, more than 20 years, my first book came out until now, people have gotten a little bit more sensitive about some issues, and so maybe that's what it is. I don't know. To me, and clearly to you, that is not something that we're sensitive about. But maybe to some people it is. I had no problem with it. I'm like, yes, and I wish I could do that to several people that I've known in my past. So it was a little bit wish fulfillment too, just from
Plus, you totally followed the rules, which was don't show it unless you're going to use it.
Thank you. Yes.
Because when she's given the gun, she says, the problem is not people you don't know. The problem is people you know.
Yeah.
And then you bring it full circle. So.
And I would like to add that when I moved here to Florida, which was like 15 years ago, one of my neighbors gave me a gun as a housewarming gift because it's Florida and that's what they do. And it really was like a true scene that happened. And I have never, thank God, had to use the gun. And he took me to the shooting range and taught me how to use it. But I actually have had some stalkers that I thought, okay, well, if they ever show up, this is what I'm going to do. Thankfully, they've never shown up, and I probably would not do that. I have an alarm and stuff instead, and, the police are right down the street. But I was always like, wow, when am I ever going to use this? Because if this was a book, I would need to use this, because that's the rule. If you show it, you have to use it. But thankfully, never have had to.
Thank goodness.
Thank you.
Speaking of going full circle, we have reached our hour, which is our sort of amount of time that we have. And I know we could all hang out and keep going, but Meg stayed up late for us, which we deeply appreciate. So I would like to thank her. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. And I'd like to once again invite everyone. Hopefully you are unmuted, and just to sort of join me in thanking Meg for joining us and taking part in this continuation of Bookstore Romance.
Thanks, Meg. Thanks, Meg. And don't forget to subscribe to Julie's Library where you
I will. Thank you all.
Thank you, Meg.
Thank you, Meg.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Keep reading romance. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.